Hello, everybody. I'm Miss Monica from the Glenwood branch of the Howard County Library System. Today's class is pre-recorded. I wanted to shout out and thank Miss Becky and Miss Barry. They're behind the scenes today helping with the recording and this class. We are so excited to welcome you to our first STEAM Saturday. This is a new class for the Howard County Library System, and we are so excited to present it to you. STEAM Saturday is going to be a bi-weekly class where we explore science, technology, engineering, art, and math. Great subjects to explore. We are going to explore them with fun and easy projects that you can do at home. So you can stop this recording at any time and you can do the projects, or you can do them after you watch the class. However you would like to do it is absolutely fine. And most of our projects will include simple materials that you have at home. So you don't need to go out and buy anything. You can substitute different materials if you don't have them. Be creative and have fun. So today's class is going to be about December holidays, some of the holidays that we celebrate in our homes in December. I love December and I love all the different holidays, not just the holiday that I celebrate in my home, but holidays that my friends and my other family members celebrate in their homes. So I wanted to give you a little peek on 3 different holidays and give you some activities that you can do at home for those holidays. And I just really, as we discuss the holidays and we do the activities, I really want you to explore these holidays. And at the end, I'm going to give you some book suggestions to learn about different holidays and more about these holidays. So super fun. So let's start with a science experiment. And our science experiment is going to use, and I'm going to hold everything up, so I promise, we're going to use simple candy canes. You might celebrate Christmas or another holiday in your house and you have lots of candy canes. Or you might celebrate Hanukkah and you might have like some chocolate, the little gold coins, or you might be making gingerbread houses and you might have a bunch of candy left over from those. Lucky you if you got to do that this December. And so I have just some simple glass jars. I'm going to show you. And like I said, you can use any candy that you get as a treat this holiday season, or any candy that you have at your house, even chocolate chips if you make chocolate chip cookies and you have those. So what you're going to start off with is you need 3 jars. I happen to have mason jars at home. You could probably use a regular glass. If you are using glass, you probably want to use glass versus plastic, you'll see in a minute. But make sure you're careful with glass. Like you see, I'm holding it with 2 hands. I don't want to drop this and have it break in my home. So we're going to start with ice water. My ice water is really cold because I use the cold water from my refrigerator dispenser. So you've got that, that's very cold. Then I have room temperature water. That's just from the faucet and it's been sitting on my counter for a little bit. So it's room temperature. And then I have hot water. So hot water, this is why I'm using the glass, just because I do have hot water in here and it would melt plastic if I put it in. This is where you want to have a grown-up help you, especially our younger listeners. So make sure you have a grown-up helping you with the hot water. So I didn't make it completely boiling so you can see that I can pick it up, but you still have a grown-up help you. So what we're going to do, and this is, like I said, something you can do at home, and then you can see what happens. This class is going to be roughly 20 minutes. So we'll see what happens with this experiment, this science experiment towards the end after I do the book suggestions. So we're going to take ice water. I'm going to put the candy cane in the ice water. You see it? While I'm doing this, while you're doing this at home, think about what could happen to these. So here's my candy cane and it goes in the room temperature water. There we go. I have to remember what order I put these in. I'm glad my hot water is a taller glass jar. So, and this is candy cane in the hot water. What do you think is going to happen? I have an idea of what's going to happen in the hot water. So we'll put that in there. So I'm going to put these off to the side. We'll come back to these in a little bit. I'd probably say 20 minutes is a good time frame to let these sit. I know when we did these before we left them on the counter, just did something else. And you could do another one of these projects and then come back to this. So the next thing we have is really cool. We are going to learn a little bit about Kwanzaa, which is a neat holiday that some of you might be celebrating. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a wreath. So what you need, these are the things you're going to need. You're going to need construction paper. Mine is in the traditional colors of Kwanzaa, which is red, green, and black. You're going to need a paper plate, a marker, scissors. You can use a pencil too. If you don't want to use marker, it's fine. And either some tape and some paper, or I just had an extra sheet of labels. I don't think you can see this that well, but they're just the labels that your grown-up probably uses in the printer. Ask before you use these, just like on anything you take from your grown-up, just ask first. It's always a good idea. So we're gonna start with tracing our hands, and you're going to need at least 9 hands, I would say, approximately. You can do more and then fill in the wreath. But if you don't know how to trace your hand, you're going to put your hand on the piece of paper. I'm going to try to do this like this. And you're going to take your piece of paper and you're going to trace, or your pen, and you're going to trace around your fingers and your hands. I'm going to do my hand and then I'll show you. And I probably can get 2. I'm going to fold my piece of paper. I can probably get 2 hands and cut them out at the same time, or 2 tracings of hands. Like this, I folded my paper in half. You might have smaller hands than I do, and you might be able to do 4 per sheet. So I'm just going to spread my fingers out, and I'm going to trace my hand. If your grown-up is watching, as a parent myself, any projects my kids made with their hands, I kept. And I love going back and just seeing how small they were because they're big now. So there's my hand trace. See it? And you're just going to cut this out. And like I said, I folded it over, so I'm getting 2 hands, 2 cutouts of my hands, rather out of this sheet of piece of paper. Again, my fingers are longer than yours. You might be able to get 4. You can see, I'm just cutting it like so. And like I said, you're going to need about 9 or 10 of these. Do them in the different colors. You can do extra. You can even do extra to make another project too. Okay, so watch. Because I folded that paper over, I have 2 hands. How many fingers do I have here? You know, I have 5 on one hand, 5 on the other. So then I have 10 fingers. Perfect. Good counting. See, I told you we get some math in there. So like I said, do that out of the green, do that out of the black. You probably need about 2 sheets of each color. I've already pre-cut them just so you don't sit here and watch me do all of them. And what you're going to do is the Kwanzaa the holiday of Kwanzaa lasts 7 days from December 26th until January 1st. And each day has a different principle on it, which is so, so neat. I actually used this book, giving you a little book suggestion early, Kwanzaa Fun, and it has a whole bunch of activities and recipes, but it also explains what Hanukkah or Kwanzaa is, and the different principles of each day. There they are, the 7 days of Kwanzaa. I'm going to put this up close so that you can see it like that. If you can't see it, it's a little blurry, I understand. You can have your grown-up look this up on the internet. You'll find it right away. Each day has a different theme or principle. The first one being unity, and they use the African word for unity. I'm going to try this, which is Omoja. And I think I said that wrong. I apologize if you celebrate Kwanzaa and I didn't say that right. But this book does have the pronunciations on them, which I love because I don't speak African, but I'd like to try and say things correctly. So you're going to put all of those on here like so. Okay. So if you want to pause the video and make your about 9, you definitely need 7, but if you want to make some extras to fill out your wreath, you can do that. So I'm going to let you pause, do that. I'm going to do that really quickly. Like I said, I haven't pre-cut, but and the next thing you're going to need is a paper plate. This can be any paper plate. If your grown-up has the ones with flowers on them or designs, those are fine too. I happen to have the plain white ones. That's fine too. So I need to, if you notice on this, there's kind of a circle in the middle. I need that cut out. So instead of like puncturing it and try to cutting around, I'm just gonna cut like this into here, and I'm gonna cut my circle out to make a wreath. I don't need to go and buy a wreath for this. If you would like to, and your grown-up says yes, go for it. But I'm just gonna use a simple plate that I have. Circle cut out, wreath. And you're noticing, it's not a full circle because it's cut. Just grab a piece of tape and tape it back up. This is kind of a safe way. If you don't know how to use scissors yet, that's okay. Just ask your grown-up to do this step for you. Or try, learn how. There we go. See, back to a wreath. So what you want to do is, like I said, you're going to write all the different days, the themes of the days on your hand prints, like so. And what I did on mine is I had some extra labels, or you could just write on the back. I did the date that principle corresponds, okay? So you could do that. And then you're gonna take your wreath. I have one that's like almost done. So it's gonna look like this. I use paper clips, and I happen to have some green and kind of reddish pink paper clips. I thought they were kind of neat to put on. You don't have to use paper clips. You could just also use like masking tape or something that you could take. You want to be able to take the hands off and on because each day of Kwanzaa, it's really nice to take off one of your handprints and learn about that day's theme or principle, which is kind of neat. You could also put all your hands in a basket and then each night pull the correct one out and then put it on. And then at the end of the week, you would have a really pretty Kwanzaa wreath. So, and if you don't celebrate Kwanzaa, you could still make this and learn about Kwanzaa. It's a great way to learn about the holiday of Kwanzaa as well. So there you go. There's my wreath. If you wanted to put a little ribbon on to hang it, or you could just maybe have a hook somewhere, you could put it, or a doorknob, you can hang it on there. Super cute, super fun. Like I said, if you have extra hands, if you got really into making handprints, you could just do that. Okay, just put some extra ones in there. Super cute. Okay, there we go. Kwanzaa, so fun. If anybody celebrates Kwanzaa and when we're back at the branches and you visit Glenwood, make sure you tell me what your Kwanzaa traditions are and how you celebrate Kwanzaa, because I love hearing about how everybody celebrates and loves their holidays. So next, we're going to move on to Hanukkah, which is a really fun holiday that is celebrated in December as well. And we're going to make a little sun catcher. So first, I want to teach you how to make a special symbol of Hanukkah, and Jewish tradition is the Star of David. And the Star of David is a really, really easy star to learn how to make. How many of you know how to draw a star? You do? Okay, perfect. It's a really fun thing. When you're bored at home, you can learn how to draw. So a Star of David is made with 2 triangles. Ready? So what you need, I forgot to tell you what you're gonna need for this project, sorry. So for the Hanukkah sun catcher, you're going to need some construction paper. I chose blue. Blue tends to be a color associated with Hanukkah, but if you don't have blue, use whatever you have, it's fine. So you'll need some construction paper, you'll need a pen or pencil, you'll need our trusty scissors, you'll need some tissue paper. This is just tissue paper that I had around the house. It came in a package that I got. And you're gonna wanna cut those pieces, or the piece of tissue paper, into little square pieces like this. They do not need to be perfect squares at all, okay? Like that. You can see I've kind of pre-cut them, like so. So what you're gonna do is you're going to draw a triangle, and you can draw the top point up. I guess all the top points are up, like so. Okay, do you see that? Then what you're gonna do is you're going to flip your paper and you're gonna draw another triangle on top of that triangle in the opposite way. You see that? Like so. Okay. And there you've got a Star of David. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to cut that out like so. I'm just going to cut it out. It's kind of easy to cut it because it's just also it makes little triangles on the points of the star. It's kind of neat. It's a really pretty star. Like so. What I did is to get the middle out, because you want to leave a little bit of an edge going all the way around. I'm going to show you mine so that you can see what I'm talking about. And I started doing the tissue paper. When you cut it out, it's going to look like that, so that you just have the outline of the Star of David. So how I did that was I folded it like so. You don't have to like make the crease really strong. And I just took out a little bit of the middle, like so. And then I cut it out, like so. And I'll just do this quickly. Like I said, doesn't need to be perfect. It's your craft and your activity. But if you're working on your cutting skills, this is a great little activity to practice. And if you are working on your cutting skills, you could cut out the outside and then have like your grown up, or like maybe you have an older sister or brother, and they could do the inside for you. So just like that. You see it? See the Star of David? Really pretty. Okay, so you're going to need contact paper as well. Contact paper comes in a roll like this. Your grown-up might have a laminating machine. You could also use that as well when the project's maybe a little more done. But I use contact paper because you peel off the back and it's sticky on one side. If you have a laminating machine, make sure your grown-up is using that because they get really hot. So contact paper, you could also do this with like a white piece of paper that's lighter behind your star, and then use a glue stick and glue your tissue paper on that way too. But here's my square. I'm going to show you what I mean by taking off the backing of it, that it's sticky. Let me see if it'll cooperate. You gotta get the corner off a little bit like that, and then you peel it. Okay, there's that. That can just be reused or thrown away. And it does kind of stick to each other sometimes, like mine just did, and that's okay. Just pull it apart. It's sticky, but it's not like crazy sticky. I would probably suggest using the contact paper over laminating just because it's sticky and it's kind of fun to then put all the tissue paper squares on there. So I'm going to show you that really quickly. And what you want to do is you want to overlap them, but you want to leave some of the stickiness of the contact paper on that. Like so. Put some more on here real quick. Oh, one of my squares just flew away. Like so. Okay, so it's going to look like this when you're done. And then you're just going to trim off the excess contact paper, but you want to leave just a little bit of it around your Star of David. Okay. And these are really, really pretty to put on a window. And when you celebrate Hanukkah each night, you could have that, you know, on the window where you're celebrating, which is nice. Or you can make a whole set of these and decorate all of your windows. That'd be really pretty too. And the same exact craft can be used for whatever holiday you celebrate. So if you wanted to do a Christmas tree for Christmas, or you wanted to do maybe a candlestick for Kwanzaa, you could do that as well. So there we go. Got the excess, really sticky. And there's that. And I would just, I'll just pretend my screen is a window, and I would just stick it up there. And then when the light shines, it would shine through all of this and really pretty. If you have different colored tissue paper, these are really pretty with all different colors of tissue paper. And then the light shines through and it's like a stained glass window. Very pretty. So that is our Hanukkah craft. Put that aside. I am going to hang that up because I think it's really pretty. So we have some book suggestions next. Ready? We have, I love these books. So all of these books are available at the Howard County Library System. Some of them are available as ebooks on Overdrive or Hoopla. If you do want to get the hard copy, we're doing contactless pickup. You can come and place a hold on our website, and then your grown-up can take you to the library and drive up, and you can pick up your bag of books, which is really exciting. But if you do use ebooks and e-content, I would recommend going on to Hoopla or Overdrive and just searching holidays or celebrate holidays or Kwanzaa or Hanukkah or Christmas, and a bunch of books come up. I did that on Hoopla the other night, and there was the small, easy read books, lots of them on every single holiday, which is so cool. I challenge you to check out some books that aren't about the holidays that you celebrate, so that you can learn about your friends and other family members, their holidays. It's kind of neat. So this is our first one. Love this book. It's a newer book. It came out last year. It's called Let's Celebrate Special Days Around the World. It's written by Kate De Palma and illustrated by Martina Palooza. And this book, for me, was like traveling to all of my friends' homes to celebrate every holiday they celebrate. So cool, so fascinating. It made me feel like I was experiencing so many different cultures, traditions, and experiences. And the theme of unity and acceptance rang through the entire book. And what's really great at the end of this book, I'll show you, is that all the holidays are explained. I'm also going to show you a picture of this book because the book is illustrated beautifully. And it goes over all different holidays, not just December holidays, because not everybody celebrates their big holidays in December. So that's Let's Celebrate. Great, great book. Next, we have another book that showcases all different holidays, and that is The Celebrations of Light, written by Nancy Lewin and illustrated by Mark Bender. This book also, like I said, showcases holidays around the world. It uses the concept of light to weave through the book and the holidays through the pages. After reading this book, you'll think about how light shines through your own days and holidays. And I'll show you a page from that book too. It's a beautiful book. The artwork is also stunning in this book. So let me see. There we go. So that is Celebrations of Lights. Next, we have Korean Celebrations by Tina Chao, illustrated by Farinda Zarman. I hope I said their name right. This is a wonderful page-by-page glimpse into Korean festivals, holidays, and traditions. And one of my favorite things about this book, as you know, I love a book that has a craft or an activity in it, as well as a recipe or two, because after I read the book, I go and make the recipe, of course. And you can see just how pretty this book is. And it really has a lot of holidays in it. So that is Korean Celebrations. Next, I got super excited when I saw this book because when I was a child, my parents are different religions, so we celebrate 2 different December holidays as well. So I saw this book. I was super, super excited when I saw this book on the shelf. And it's one of my favorites. It's called Daddy Christmas and Hanukkah Mama by Selena Alco. And you might be like me, or you might be like the character in this book, where you might celebrate 2 different holidays in December, or 2 different groups of holidays anyway. So love, love, love this book. It's an adorable book about a little girl and how she and her parents celebrate both Hanukkah and Christmas. The illustrations are vibrant and they're made with a collage technique. So you could look at this. I mean, look how beautiful this book is. And I don't know if you can see it. She's got the Christmas tree hanging, and then traditional turkey, like you said, you sometimes have on Christmas. And then there's a menorah. And throughout the book, there are decorations of both holidays, and just the joining of 2 traditions and 2 holidays is just beautiful in this book. It's also a wonderful book about joining together with family and celebrating your holidays together. Love, love, love this book. Great. So last but not least, this is a newer book that I discovered on the shelf and I was excited about it because, like I said, I love reading about holiday traditions and ways holidays are celebrated, especially holidays that I don't celebrate in my home. I like learning about. I get really excited if somebody invites me to their home to celebrate their holiday with them, and then I can learn more. It's so cool. So this one is called Too Many Tamales, and this is about a little girl, and her family's tradition is to make tamales on Christmas Eve. If you have never had a tamale, I recommend trying one. They are delicious. I was at a friend's house on Christmas Eve many, many years ago, and they had homemade tamales. They were delicious. So that is Too Many Tamales, and this is about a little girl, like I said. I don't know if you can see it with the glare. Sorry, the glare is a little bit on the cover, but her family makes tamales, and she helps her mom before everybody comes over to make tamales. And her mom takes off her ring, and the little girl tries it on, and she thinks that she loses her mother's ring in the tamale, in the bowl of tamales. So I'm not going to spoil the book for you, but it's a great book about family tradition, and sometimes things happen on a holiday that you're like, oh gosh, did I really do that? And just how she solves that problem. So really cute book. And then last but not least, I mentioned it really quickly, but Kwanzaa Fun, which is by Linda Robertson and Julie Pearson. Love this book. It's great things to make and do. Like I said, it's got recipes and just the history of Kwanzaa, different symbols, and lots and lots and lots of projects you can do. Art projects and different decorations, and just super fun. Those are my book suggestions, and I hope you check some of those books out and learn some more about the holidays. And I promise at the end that we would look at those candy canes. So let's see what they're doing. Oh, they look so cool. Ready? Okay, so let's start with the ice water. What can we observe? Do you see at the bottom how the water has turned red? I'm gonna do it. And can you see what came off of the candy cane? You see it? I hope you can see it. Do this at home because it's even clearer at home that the stripes came off. And I love how the color from the stripes, the red, is staying at the bottom. But I wonder if it's because the water is colder at the top with the ice. You see how the ice is still left at the top and it's not left at the bottom? So I wonder if that's why the color is not moving up. I can be a scientist today. Wonder why that happens. Next, we've got the room temperature water. And it looks, you can see it, it looks like the red also came off of, got my handprint. Let me see. It looks like the stripes came off, but the red from the coloring moved up a little bit, but it still didn't go all the way to the top. That's kind of neat. If you have tongs, you could also pull the candy cane out and you could look at it and observe to see if they're the same size throughout the water temperatures. That's something you could do. Ready for the hot? What is missing? Do you see what's missing? I'll move it over here. You see it? There's no candy cane at all. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it. Totally did what? It dissolved. Because what's candy made out of? Sugar. And what happens to sugar in water? It dissolves. And especially hot water, it dissolves quicker. This would be a really neat thing. Like we've had about 20 minutes together and these sat for 20 minutes. But if you have longer time at home, let these sit throughout the day and see as the ice melts and the water gets to room temperature, and also the room temperature one, see if that candy cane's still in there and see if it dissolves or not. You can let me know the next time you see me because that's really exciting. Like I said, do this experiment with different candy too. You could do several. You could do a whole week of different candy experiments in the water. Fun. So thank you so much for joining us today. I miss every one of you at the library, so I'm so glad that we can at least spend a little bit of time together today on STEM Saturday. You can sign up for our next, STEAM, I said STEM, STEAM and STEM, our STEAM Saturday on our website, hclibrary.org. I hope you have a great day and we'll see you soon. Bye.